September, we might not have a Teammate Talks episode. We are going to be out of town at a tournament. I might try to do one that Friday. I don't know. It just depends. We'll see. So this might be our last one for a couple of weeks. And what we're talking about today is it's not them, it's you. And really what we're getting into here, and this is for the parents mostly, kids, of course. I know a bunch of y'all follow us on YouTube. You can follow along, see what we think about this kind of stuff. But we're going to be blending two of our words of the week together for this concept. Now, last week, our word of the week was coordination, right? Now, I think it's obvious when you're talking about sports, like with us, it's combat sports, martial arts, that kind of thing, that coordination is sort of self-explanatory. Most kids at a young age understand that type of coordination. Being able to do one thing with one hand, another thing with another hand, or be able to do something with your hands while doing something different with your feet, or something along those lines, right? Or hand-eye coordination, which is what we build through video games and things like that, or writing, stuff along those lines. But there's more to coordination than that, and that's what we actually get into with our kids when we teach coordination. So I know she does the 4 to 6 year olds with me, with the 7, 8 year olds, and some of the 9 ups. I often relate this to when you live with somebody or you work with somebody, you guys have got to be able to work together to get everything done. So with the younger kids, I always give the example, or the other Mr. Rose, he teaches that class a lot. He'll give the example of when you live in a place, it is everybody's responsibility to make sure stuff gets cleaned up. So regardless of what your chore list is, when you walk over and see there's dishes in the sink and the dishwasher's dirty or empty, you should do the dishes. If you see the dishwasher is full, you should empty the dishwasher. If you walk by and throw something away and you see the trash needs bagged up, taken out, and a new bag in, you do it right then and there. You don't call someone whose chore it is or anything else, just take care of it. When you, as parents, when you set that expectation from the age of 3 to 5 on, you really don't need chore lists. I know there's a lot of cool chore list ideas and ways for kids to earn things to make chores more fun, but I know in my experience with all the kids I've ever worked with, they ended up not needing chore lists by using this concept from the time they were 3, 4, 5 years old. The concept of everybody lives in the house, so everybody uses their coordination to work together and get things done. So when you see something that needs done, just go ahead and do it right now and then go on about your business, right? So that's another type of coordination that we often talk about with the kids, but we're going to be blending that with patience. But first, I think she wanted to say something.
Well, I was going to say, I really don't like chore lists because that makes it go, well, that's not my responsibility.
That's
not
someone
my
else's.
job.
Exactly.
And, oh, well, I have a chore list that I'm earning money for. That means that
they're not going to do it unless they think they earn something. So then they get off on their own and find out they don't earn anything for taking out the trash. You know what I'm saying? Because at a certain point, when you institute chore lists and give rewards for the chores, at a certain point, you have to take the rewards away, right? You have to take the rewards away. What's up, Harvey? So at a certain point, you have to take the rewards away, which is why I don't like chore lists anyway. Now, I've never had to use one, but from the time my son was little, he's heard this coordination speech. We all live here, so we all work together to make sure that things are done. Here's all the things that need to get done. If you're walking around and you do something, and you see this needs done, you see the toilet needs cleaned, you see the shower needs cleaned, you see whatever it is, if it's something you can take care of, then take care of it. If you can't, then ask for help. And that's just how our household is run. So that's just kind of how it's always been. Now, here's where I want to blend this in with patience, because this is an issue we have with parents, and I think it's related to all sports, but we see it in martial arts a lot. Look, sports require a lot of coordination, especially martial arts requires a lot of physical coordination, because look, we have to break everything down into its smallest pieces for people to learn. So when they're beginners, and this is what I don't understand, because martial arts is the only sport that you can see someone breaking something down and working on one aspect and everybody around to go, well, that'll never work in a fight. You shouldn't be practicing that way. Well, all we're practicing is balance right now, or all we're practicing is timing right now, right? So no, that alone is useless in a fight. But then when you blend that with a lot of other things, it becomes very, very useful. So coordination gets worked on differently. Now, in my class, I teach the intermediates and advanced. And so I expect when they get to my class that they have a certain amount of coordination. I expect them to already have physically. And then I help them build on that. But when they're beginners, we have to start off with one piece at a time, right? So like when we teach forms, a lot of people make fun of forms in kata, but I think the people that make fun of it have just never trained it for real. And what do I mean for real? I mean not just learning forms. Learning forms to learn forms is stupid, and it's completely ridiculous. So when you're talking about martial arts, learning forms is about learning all the applications of all the different movements and different ways that you can use them in a variety of different scenarios. And that's the way we teach it here. I'm ignoring that. And that's the way we teach it here. So it requires a lot of physical coordination, but coordination takes time to build. right? You have to break it down. It takes time to build it. Like when we teach forms, we start off doing the feet only, then add the hands in, add one hand in, then the other hand in, then we add the applications, and we do the applications slow, and then we do them fast. And it's a whole process to learn how to have the coordination to do it. Problem we run into is it takes a while to build coordination, and kids always have like 5 or 6 phases all the way up through the age of 19, 20 that are very awkward phases, very coordinationally challenging phases. And that's not a problem for us, and that's not a problem for the kids. It can be a problem for some parents. We end up having a lot of parents that get really frustrated. Oh, my kid's not throwing that kick as good as that kid is. Well, that kid's been training for 10 years. Your kid's been training for 3 months. Of course they're not. They don't have the coordination for that yet. Oh, my kid hasn't figured out the coordination of this. They have to do it slow. They can't do it fast yet. Yeah, that's where it starts. You start off learning how to do it slow, and then that makes it easier to go faster. So this is where patience comes in. So when you're a parent and you're over on the sidelines getting frustrated because your kid's not coordinated enough, or they're having a little struggle with something or something like that, you need to remember that that's them, not you. It's them, not you, okay? That's their problem, not yours, first off. Second off, that'll teach you to have a little more patience with them. Remember, patience is the ability to accept things calmly. So once you accept that it's their job to learn the coordination, that it's them that has to do it, I tell my students all the time, I can show you how, I can drill it for you, I can train it with you in 1,000 different ways, but you have to do it yourself. I cannot do it for you. Same thing with sports, and you have to realize that with your kids. You can't do it for them, you can't make them do it, you've got to let them progress for themselves, and every kid's going to progress at a different rate. But too often we have parents come in here, watch beginners classes, and they're just, oh gosh, I can't believe how uncoordinated he is, can't believe how difficult that is for him. Yeah, it's his first time doing anything like that. Second, third, fourth, right? He's a beginner.
They're supposed to suck.
They're supposed to suck. Yeah, they're supposed to kind of suck at first. And when you're comparing them to someone that's already been training for a year or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years, yes, they're going to look very uncoordinated. They're going to look very slow. They're not going to look like they know what they're doing, because you have to start somewhere, right? You have to start somewhere with that stuff. So you have to have patience with them. You have to be able to accept that they are where they are, and they will improve as long as they still have fun doing it. As long as they're being challenged, but they're still enjoying it, they will get better. When you start harping on them and telling them that it's not good enough, they will quit because they want to appease you. They want you to accept them for who they are, and they feel like you're not accepting the fact that they're having struggle with something, right? But like I said, like the title of this video, it's not them, it's you. They're normal. They're going through the process. They're learning. They're building coordination. It's not going to take days and weeks. It's going to take months and years. And that's them. That's normal. That's where they're supposed to be. So where do I get the title? It's not them, it's you, because they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be. They're exactly at the level they need to be for where they're at. The only person who has a problem with it is you. Okay? So if you're not the one doing it, if you're not in class with your kid, if you're not out there training with your kid in class, if you're not out there doing it with them,
don't stress.
Then it's not your responsibility. It's not your responsibility. That's the coach's and the kid's responsibility. It's up to you to encourage them. Just have patience and accept that they're having trouble. Accept that they're struggling. Don't try to force it on them. Don't start being like, oh, my kid. And it's the same thing with behavior too, right? We tend to fear judgment from other parents. I did a podcast episode about that a couple of weeks ago. And so we try to force our kids to always make the right decisions. Here's the thing. Kids are going to make mistakes. They're going to make big ones. They're going to get messed up, right? Things are going to happen. So you have to learn to accept that your kids are going to make big mistakes. And you have to try to stay calm. Of course, there's consequences, but you need to be able to guide them too, and you want them to feel confident to come to you and open up to you. But you have to stay calm and understand that their mistakes are not yours. Their mistakes are theirs. Let them make their mistakes. Let them fail. Let them fix it. Let them figure out how to... What in the world just happened? Oh, we just lost Facebook. Whatever. Let them figure it out on their own, right? So you have to let them fail, and you have to let them figure it out on their own. The second you start stressing, thinking your kid's not good enough for something, then they're going to start thinking they're not good enough. And is that really the impression you wanted to give your kids? I know you were wanting to say something.
Well, and I was going to say too, please have patience and understand that you might not know how to fix the issue that you see in your kid. Mm-hmm. Not going to lie. I was talking to a dad today, and he has some base knowledge, and he was watching his son do his form. He just learned it. He just got all the way through it. And there were some issues that I was seeing, and I was fixing one thing at a time. Mm-hmm. And I'd fix one thing and I'd leave him and let him go. And his dad was like, well, we really need to fix that arm. If he threw that, that punch in a real fight, it'd be a problem. I said, you know what? It would be.
Yeah.
But that's not what I'm fixing right now. And I can fix that problem I can fix that problem by fixing one other thing.
But we can only fix one thing at a time, or we're going to overwhelm the student.
Yeah, and so then I saw his son mess something up. So I went out, I took a few steps, and I went, hey, something went wrong. Let's go back through this whole thing together. And as I did it, I fixed his feet. And you know what it fixed?
Fixed his punch, fixed his alignment, fixed his balance.
Most people don't know how to fix that simply by fixing the feet. And if you...
But all strikes start from the feet.
Yeah.
And we have parents that watch kids struggle with something, and then the kid comes off the mat, and the parent thinks they know the best way to fix it. We've been doing this for 20 years. Trust me, the way you think is the best way to fix it is not the best way to fix it. I constantly have parents yell out over the floor advice to their kids that is absolutely terrible advice, right? Absolutely terrible advice. For example, one of the ones that gets thrown around a lot is, you got to punch through the head. No, don't do that. That teaches your kid to overextend. So when their partner dodges and they overextend, they're left wide open. We don't want that. Professional fighters do not overextend themselves on strikes. They know exactly where their reach is, and if the opponent moves out of reach, they just cancel the strike, right? And then close the distance. You have to use your feet. But parents give some of the worst advice when it comes to the stuff they're supposed to be learning on the floor. They absolutely do. Yes, Elite, we've been married for...
how long have we been married?
All right, we've been married since... Well, actually married or together? Because I got the together one, right?
We've been only go through the one anniversary. We discussed this. It's easier that way.
I know. So that would be 06. Yeah, so since 06.
19 and a half years.
19 and a half years. That's it. Yeah, appreciate the comments. I can't even pronounce her name. That name, her knees is, your mom. Yeah, appreciate the comments, your mom. Yeah. All right, what was the last thing you were talking about?
Don't try to fix something you don't know how to fix.
Yeah. Don't fix something you don't know how to fix. And here's the thing. Now, if you're a parent and you've trained martial arts for 5 or 10 years in the past, you probably do have the right thing. You can help them, right? Absolutely, give them some advice. But most of the parents doing this are people who have never had any experience in martial arts. They just assume they can fight. And that always cracks me up. I have people come in here all the time assuming that they already know how to fight, and then they take one class and they're like, holy crap, I didn't know how to throw a punch. Holy crap, I didn't even know how to align my feet. I don't know how to hit hard after all. Yeah. I mean, my favorite story about that, I had a guy come in here one night after classes. This has been years ago now. He was half drunk and oil field worker covered in mud, saying that he wanted to challenge me. I just laughed it off. I was like, dude, you don't want to challenge me. Let's not do that. You're drunk. Go away. If you leave, if you come back sober, you can take a class. We'll talk about it then. This guy comes back the next night, drunk again. I tell him, nah, man, I'm not fighting you. That's stupid. And then he stepped his muddy boots on my $30,000 mats.
No.
Now, once that happened, I went, you know what, buddy? We can have a match. We can do that. Yeah. And I put the gloves on and we started the match. And I couldn't tell you exactly what happened. He took a swing at me, ended up taking a kick to the gut. He went down. I said, all right, let's end it there. He's like, no, I got one more. He got up, he started to take a move at me again, and I swept his leg out from under him, and he fell on his back. After that, I took my gloves off. I said, dude, you're done. You're done. This is one of those guys that was like, well, I bet I could fight. I just want to try myself against a black belt because I know I see red and bodies hit the floor. And yeah, he tried to come at me 3 different times and never even came close to landing anything on me. That's the thing. You don't know what you don't know, so don't assume that you do, right? So with kids, we've got to have that patience. We have to accept calmly that they are where they are. And kids all go through several awkward phases, so they may start to get better with their coordination, and then they go through a growth spurt, and then they get worse with their coordination. You have any idea, like the average student that I have, let's go to my parkour class. That's the one that requires the most coordination. The average student I have, and this is why I tell them, landing your trick for the first time doesn't mean you have it. Landing it for the 3rd time doesn't mean you have it. You don't have it until you can do it 10 times in a row. Now, the reason I say that is every time I finally get a kid to land their first backflip, let's say, oh, I got a backflip, I can do the backflip. They might manage it a couple more times that day. Then they come in 2 days later and they can't do it. And it takes them 2 weeks to land another one again. And the next time they come in, they can't do it. And it takes them 2 weeks to land another one again. And then they get 2 or 3 in a row. And then, but it builds, right? So you don't have it till you can do it 10 times in a row without issues. That's kind of the thing there. Jesse, come on in, bud. You know where we're at. Come on in if you really want to try that. That just Jesse person's exactly the type of dude I was talking about. He's just going on and on in the comments, so I'm going to leave it alone. Yes, we have a parkour class, parkour and trick kicking. Yes. Now, moving on to what we were talking about. Parents, you have to accept things for where they are, understand that kids are going to take time to learn things, and understand that the kids have to take these things one step at a time. That's the most important part. You have to understand that these kids have to take one step at a time. Here's the thing. Everybody likes to think of fighting as attack or defend, offense or defense. We tend to think of it because we think of sports that way.
No.
Because in sports, you're either on offense or you're on defense. Fighting is different. A lot different. Combat sports are different. MMA fighting is different. Real fighting is different. Fact of the matter is, if you are focused on defend then attack or attack then defend, you're going to lose 95% of the fights you get into with trained professionals. Now, regular people, it's all up to luck, right? Untrained people, it's all up to luck and quickness. However, against anyone who's had a year or two or longer of training, you're going to start to have some problems. Because by the time they're intermediate, so by the time they have a year of training in and they come to me, we stop worrying about attack and defend. And beginners will split it up. In my class, you have to learn how to do both at the same time. There is no being on the offensive or being on the defensive. You have to learn to do both. Because in a fight, once someone takes their turn and they start hitting you, they're not going to give you a turn back. You either have to break away from the engagement or you have to break their rhythm and take your turn. And break their rhythm and then keep your turn and not let them have another turn. All fights can be kind of broken down into that play. So you can't just defend, wait for a chance to go on the offensive and then go. No, you have to be defending and throwing offense at the same time. And that's what traditional forms teach us in martial arts. In martial arts, traditional forms, all these movements that look kind of goofy and use both hands at the same time, those are attack and defend techniques. Those are techniques that are both an attack and a defense at the same time. We're working on a lot of those in black belt class today. So that this move is the parry and this move is the strike. So we're doing it all at once type of stuff, right? And that's important when you get into the higher level of fight sports. I talk to my competition team about it all the time. If you guys that don't know, we have a nationally ranked competition team here that competes in kickboxing specifically. Now, our entire curriculum is different. Our entire curriculum involves more than MMA. Here's the thing. MMA is not a style. MMA is a sport. And it has a certain set of rules, such as you can't kick a grounded opponent. You can't kick an opponent that's in the face while you're on the ground. You can't hit an opponent in the back of your head on the ground. Well, self-defense doesn't work that way. And so when we do our sparring, none of those rules are involved. The only rule is no injuries, right? Don't injure your partner. That's it, right? Don't injure your partner. But other than that, any tactic you could use in a regular fight would go. Simply because I want my people to understand just how to make these things, just how aggressive these things are supposed to be, right? Just how crazy these things can get. So, sorry, I got back on martial arts again. This video is not supposed to be about martial arts. It's supposed to be about coordination. But yeah, that attack and defense at the same time. So our regular classes cover everything. Here's something you might not realize. Like a lot of people, they think of Taekwondo and they think of a kicking art. The sport of Taekwondo is a kicking art. The art of Taekwondo is entirely different than the sport. When you actually train the full art of Taekwondo, there's a lot of stuff in there. Like this thing, there's a part of Taekwondo curriculum where you build a fence. That's a non-assuming stance, right? So someone's encroaching my space, that's when the fight starts. I set a fence using a non-assuming stance. Then this is just one aspect out of like Taekwondo. So then they take a swing. As they take a swing, you do wing guard, upward elbow, down hammer fist, knee to the groin, and elbow to the back of the head. That's very violent. It's very aggressive, and it happens very fast. Believe it or not, that's part of traditional Taekwondo. But people don't think of it that way because they see Olympic Taekwondo and go, oh, Taekwondo is all kicks. No, it's not. The sport of Taekwondo is all kicks. The art of Taekwondo is far more than that. Same thing with karate. Sport karate is point fighting, but the art of karate is far different and includes joint locks and takedowns and grappling. Here's something you guys may not know. Everybody knows Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? You know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is only 1/3 of what was originally a Japanese karate martial art known as judo. Judo? Oh, gosh darn it. Forgot the second name of it. Anyway, the original art was judo something. And it incorporated kickboxing. It incorporated clinch work from Muay Thai. It incorporated all the grappling you see in BJJ, and it was one complete art. Then BJJ was just a guy who took the grappling out of it on its own, got rid of all the strikes and most of the takedowns and stuff like that, and called it a brand new art, right? So even we think of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu today as an art, and I suppose it is, but it's actually 1/3 of an original karate art. judo something that took about 10 years to get your black belt in. And that's the one thing BJJ did keep, is that 10-year time frame. And for us, it's similar. Now, when you go to studios that can get their black belt in 2 or 3 years, I understand it and I got nothing against it, but that just means they're teaching the sport. So they're teaching it to the sport. And that's fine. If that's what you want to do. You want to do the sport, do the sport. But for us, we teach from a self-defense perspective, so the curriculum is much bigger. We have grappling, we have joint locks from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, we have takedowns, we have clinch work, we have elbows, we have knees, we have all of this other stuff in our art. And so it's a more complete art, and that's why it takes our people 7 to 10 years to get their black belt, is we have a much, much larger curriculum than a lot of people do. So,
yeah.
Did you have something you wanted to add to that?
Well, I was just going to say, because we...
Thanks, your mom. I appreciate that comment. Go ahead. Sorry.
Because we switch focus every so many weeks.
1 second. Can I cut you off there? Someone mentioned Krav Maga. I'll tell you a little bit about Krav Maga too. Now, Krav Maga is its own art, but it's very rare to find it in America. Most of what you find listed as Krav Maga in America is just traditional karate or traditional Taekwondo combatives marketed as Krav Maga. We'll say we have an adult Krav Maga program, but the entire thing they're teaching most of the time is actually combative karate and combative Taekwondo. The actual art of Krav Maga was developed a little bit differently, and it is its own full art, but most of what you see taught as Krav Maga here is not it. Most of Krav Maga is based in ninjutsu. It's actually sneak knife attacks, attacks. There's a lot of that stuff in it. I got the opportunity to do 2 different Krav Maga seminars. The first one I did, I thought was real Krav Maga. It turned out to be an Americanized version that was greatly watered down. The second time I got to do it with an Israeli guy, and let me tell you, that is a complete martial art in its own right. The sad part is martial arts schools can call their program whatever they want. So they can have a karate program and call it Krav Maga. They can have a jiu-jitsu program and call it karate. You can call it whatever you want. There's no rules against it. There's no governing body to any of this stuff. And so fact of the matter is most of the stuff we see marketed as Krav Maga in America is just repackaged karate, Muay Thai, and Taekwondo. Anyway, sorry, what were you saying?
I was going to say that because we switch curriculum, there is, in that like first week transition in a new set of material, there's always a bit of a learning curve. And so they're like, while they might have made progress in the 5 weeks prior, now we're doing a whole different thing. So now we're not doing kickboxing, we're doing grappling.
Right. So
and
maybe
they're like brand new baby giraffes swallowing on the ground.
So maybe you watch your kid get better during the yellow stripe weeks when we're focused on boxing and kickboxing techniques, and you start to be like, oh, they're getting it down. Then we move to green stripe weeks. Green stripe weeks are all grappling, clinches, takedowns, joint locks, arm bars, chokes, triangle chokes, that sort of thing.
And now you realize that they don't know the difference between their shoulders and their butt.
Right. So sometimes you'll have a kid that's doing real good and real good at the striking stuff, and then they get to the grappling stuff and starts to struggle, and the parents get, well, you were doing so good in yellow stripe weeks, why are you struggling with this? Well, because this is a different thing. It's a completely different type of movement, a completely different feel, a completely different mindset when you're fighting on the ground than it is when you're fighting standing. And the transition in between, that's a whole nother different mindset, right? Because there you have clinch work, so you have to focus on wrestling position, but you also have strikes like elbows, palms, and things like that you have to worry about, knee strikes, stuff like that, low kicks. So you have to worry about all that at once. And so then you might have a kid that struggles with their coordination in the kickboxing, and then they get to the wrestling grappling part of things and they kill it, right? They just got a natural talent for that kind of movement. Or maybe they do good in both of those, and then they get into like headlock defenses or push defenses, and their timing sucks, right? Like, it takes time. You're not going to learn 3 push defenses in a day and then be able to use them in a fight for real. That's not how this works. It's going to take weeks and weeks and weeks of practicing them to get the muscle memory down to actually use them for real. And when I say practicing, I shouldn't say practicing, I should say training. Because if you practice it, you're moving slow to understand the motion. That's not good enough. Then you have to train it at full speed. Once you've trained it at full speed for several hours, then you might be able to have a chance at using it for real, right? And then we have then our active protection weeks, and then we have our traditional forms weeks, which is an entirely different set of movements completely. Traditional forms are based in an initial attack. So when you're talking about traditional forms, all of the applications are based on an initial attack to the fight. Now, if you start to use piece of a form to stop an initial attack to the fight and it doesn't work, now you're fighting. Now we're sparring, and that's where all the sparring, kickboxing, boxing, and all that comes in. But before that happens, you have usually an initial attack. Someone is encroaching in your space. They push you with one hand. They push you with both hands. They grab and threaten. They grab you. They you against the wall. They grab your throat. They try to headbutt you. These are all initial types of attacks, and these are what forms teach us how to defend. For example, there's a move in a form people always give me a hard time for because it's literally this. You just stick your hands up like this. Guys, it's a headbutt defense. So someone grabs your shoulders, goes to headbutt, you smack them in the head. That's what it is, right? So there's all sorts of moves that people misunderstand in forms. Spear knuckles, right? People misunderstand that. Yes, it could be used as a throat punch, but more often than not, it's used to hit nerves. It's used to hit nerve points, or it's used to set up takedowns. Actually, hip throws. Yeah. Hip throws specifically.
So we got back.
Yeah, so we got back into martial arts, but let's get back to what we were talking about. Coordination. Physical coordination takes a lot of time. Your kids are not you, so it's not them, it's you. If you're getting frustrated that your kid's struggling with coordination, well, I thought they've seen it do it better. Okay, maybe they have done it better in the past, but they're going to have, like, progress isn't an upward scale. Have you ever zoomed into a stock market graph to like a 1 week or 1 day graph? It's like all over the place, right? That's how progress happens. But then when you zoom out across a year, it's gradually gotten better. Yeah, well, if you look at some companies, other companies have gotten worse, right? Good companies have gotten better, right? Progress happens the same way. So just because you saw them do it better than that 2 months ago or last week doesn't mean they're not going to struggle a little bit today. That's how progress happens. Now, that's them though. That's the kid's mistake, not yours. Let them make the mistake, let them fail. Do not then try to force them to be better at it, right? Have some patience, accept that they're struggling and let them struggle. Let them struggle. Don't force them to do the things that'll make them get better. Give them the opportunity to do the things that'll make them get better, which is just keep coming to class, keep working on it at home, right? But if you start trying to force it, let us do our job. But if you start trying to force it, now they're going to want to quit, right? Well, my dad's not happy with my progress, so I'm going to quit. Dude, you've been training for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. How do you expect how far did you expect to get in 3 weeks? You've learned 3 techniques in that time. Come on, man. You got to put some real time into it, right? And so as parents, we have to accept that is our kid's mistake, not ours. So if it's bothering us, that's not our kid's fault, that's our own fault. So if you recognize that your kid making mistakes bothers you, you got to work on your own patience. You've got to learn to accept what you can control and what you can't. You know one thing you can't control? You can't control your kids. I know a lot of people, you control your kids. You can't control your kids. Your kids are individual people. You can encourage them. You can guide them. You can teach them the right things. You can teach them morals. You can teach them politeness and all of those things. And every time they mess up, you can remind them that they could have done it better. But you can't do it for them, which means you can't force them to do it. You can't control them. The best you can do is try to influence them to make the right decisions for themselves. I say that till I'm blue. I think every podcast episode I have said that, right?
Pretty sure you have.
I swear. All right, now we're going to go ahead and jump off here because I got places to be. Next weekend, you might not see us do a Teammate Talks episode, so we're going to be at a tournament in Arkansas, so we're going to be out of town. I might pop on and do a little bit of one, but I don't keep social media on my phone, so I might not, because like I said, I don't keep social media on my phone for good reason. People like Jesse in the comments here, you're one of the reasons I don't keep social media on my phone. I don't want to hear that crap all day. I don't need to, because I care less. So, till we see you guys again, be the best teammates you can be, and be the best at being you.